Hello, everybody. How's it going out there? Welcome back to another illustrious episode of 5-Star Radio. Somebody in the chat already called me their favorite Steeler YouTuber. What a great way to get the evening started. Thank you so much. Tonight, I have my typical Tuesday guest for you. The man, the myth, the legend, Steel Flyers. How you doing, bud?
Hey, how you doing, man? How you doing?
Oh, I am doing. I'm having a very productive day myself. I'm cutting deals. I'm getting things ready for the season. I'm really getting excited. I'm feeling the pressure, man, but I'm getting hyped.
Okay, because we're like 40 some days away, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're cutting deals, right?
I'm cutting deals,
You're,
yeah.
you're getting ready for new swag coming out and all that happiness, right? I'm
I
sure.
mean, there's envelopes going out to my patrons. You might have heard
Boy.
me mention the website patreon.com/5SMU. Check that out to get some free 5-star swag. Thanks for the setup on that. We played some nice volleyball on that plug, man.
Hey, buddy, I know how to serve up them softballs for you now. You know.
You do indeed. Um,
Oh, we
so
got some good ones for tonight, though, don't we?
we do. Actually, we're just rolling into this real quick. We didn't do like a real pre-production kind of chat today, so we're really just going from the hip. But honestly, I found that they go well when you just start shooting. You just going back at each other about the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think. I don't know if you want to get to anything else first. Obviously, I think that the top of everybody's mind right now is the 53-man roster.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
I do. I just got to respond to the chat real quick because somebody else in here said same that I was their favorite YouTuber, except for that It's Yinsberg is also great, and I do want to just give a shout out because I'm good buds on the internet with It's Yinsberg, and that is a great channel.
Oh,
So
hey, there you go.
that's
Yeah.
that's on the official list of allowed other YouTubers.
Official list.
I have his shirt actually, as a matter of fact. I bought it because
Hey.
people put out nice merch. I always tell everybody this. You put out nice merch, I'll buy it.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Right? I'm the same. If you put it out nice and it looks good and it's quality stuff, I'll buy it.
I'm a sucker for aesthetics.
And I'm a sucker for helping other people out.
That's in the content game, that's what it's all about. Honestly,
Exactly.
a lot of people want to talk about it, but not a lot of people do it. And not even to just like, I'm doing a podcast later tonight. I haven't even told you this. I'm doing a friend's podcast. You'll see it whenever they put it out. But they need me to do it for them, like just because of work schedules and stuff. They need me to do it like at like 10 o'clock at night. And it's just one of those things where you're like, you know what, man? Like, if I'm gonna talk about how people should walk the walk, I'm gonna walk the walk.
Okay. So when you get to the point, right, and look, this is how this whole thing goes. This is the cool thing about how this all works.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the beauty of this whole environment, this whole community, if you will.
Yep.
Right? Is that when people call you up last minute and go, hey man, somebody bowed out on my show, can you hop on?
Yeah.
Right? So you get I get those calls.
Yeah.
I get the frantic calls on the other end. Oh my gosh, man, my guy bowed out. I'm like, this is what we're gonna talk about. Can you hop on? I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever you need,
Yeah, no, I mean, I hear you completely on that. I mean, it's just like I said, it's just it's one thing to talk about wanting to help other other people in the community. It's another to actually do it, and I just try to set that precedent. But that was me getting on a tangent about It's Yinsberg and podcasters and everything. But
no, because that.
Oh, lost you there.
This is what I meant by this whole community. See. Yep. We are talking about another podcast, another show.
Yeah.
Right? That we feel is worthy of our eyeballs.
Yeah.
So if we feel it's worthy of our eyeballs, then we're going to tell our audience, hey, you guys should check this out.
Exactly. No, that's the way I feel completely is just if people are going to reward me with their eyeballs and spend even a minute or 5 minutes of their week watching my content, the least I could do is pay it back to the people who are either younger than me or like have smaller followings or even bigger followings, whatever. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Just, if people are putting good stuff out there, I want to hype it up,
Exactly. It's always about paying it forward. You know what I'm saying? So
speaking of paying it forward,
yeah,
we were going to talk about the 53-man roster.
Yes, we were.
And I know people are probably anxiously waiting to hear our take on that. I'm going to pull that. I have that pulled up in a tab for me right now.
Oh, I've been scouring over this now.
I will say this will truly be a pretty as close to a natural reaction as you can get from me on something like this, because I really haven't molded over that much, to be honest. I've been pretty busy this evening, so I haven't really. I did look at it, and I do have some initial thoughts, but I'm curious what flies off your
initial thoughts. Yeah, let's go with your initial thoughts, because there was a lot of talk about a certain quarterback making the team, and blah blah blah. But so I'm just interested to hear what you think right off the bat. You're just your initial thoughts. You look at the roster and go, oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think I'm a little confused at the linebacker situation, and I'm a little confused at the DB situation. I think that the offense is very thin. They do have flexibility with the offensive linemen. Some of the players that they added, even if they're not good, are like Joe Haig, I know, has position flexibility. Now they're working Chooks they're switching them back and forth one way to the other. And I just don't see a lot of depth on the offense. I mean, you're keeping just the 5 wide receivers. What happens if you get an injury to a Juju or to, Claypool? Suddenly it's, you're thin. You're thin. You're talking about there's not that many steps between something happening and Ray McLeod taking serious snaps at wide receiver. And I don't know how much. I don't really get the Ray McLeod thing, to be honest with you. I think I would have kept one of those kids over him, or I would go fishing. I don't know if you saw Philly cut Travis Fulgham.
Yeah.
And I remember him. Cutting us up last year, and to me, that's a better player than Ray McLeod.
There's probably, in fact, I would even have to say that even though this is the initial release, there's still 12 days until the opening of the season. And I'm pretty much going to guarantee you that there's going to be some announcement of some roster moves.
Yeah.
I mean, well, for one, you're going to get, 11 now go to the practice squad?
Yeah, you have a big practice squad. Anybody's eligible. So, like, you would think they'll bring Dobbs back for that probably.
Well, he had like injury reserve.
Yeah, he had like did they put him on IR?
Yeah, and the same thing with the guy that we thought was going to make the team, Anton Brooks.
Yeah, well, he had that injury. That was bad timing for him.
Right.
That was really bad timing.
It was obviously bad enough for him to go on the IR. So,
yeah.
I mean.
No, sometimes, honestly, that with a kid like Brooks, that's not a bad thing to kick that can down the road, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Even with Dobbs. I mean, if you ask Josh Dobbs, honestly, that's probably the best case scenario for him. He gets to stay where he's been, and he wasn't going to play anyway. His best case scenario was third string quarterback. He was probably going to get cut if he wasn't hurt. I'm not hating on the guy. I'm just telling the truth.
Just the truth, right?
Because
it is.
I mean, how many years does Josh Dobbs have in the NFL? He's got like one more year, and then he'll be pensioned. So, I mean, good for him.
Really? Are you kidding?
I think you get it after 4 or 5 years. He'd be going on his 4th year this year, I think.
Wow. So you don't even get past your first contract and you already get pension. Well, hey,
I mean, that shows you how rare it is that somebody lasts that long. It's messed up.
Wow. Can I go back and get pension on my first contract?
I do want to just bring this up because I'm just looking at it. My eyes are gravitating to it. And it's the thing that jumps out as the weirdest. I think this is the weirdest one guy that made the team that I just didn't expect. My man UG3, Ulysses Gilbert.
Yeah, I'm looking at that too.
I don't get it. What is he? I mean, again, I'm not watching practice. it didn't sound like he was leaping off the page. I remember, when he came in, I don't remember he was a rookie. I think he was a rookie 2 years ago, and he's been hurt both years. And, he was supposed to have this athleticism and whatever. And then as soon as I saw the Buddy Johnson pick, I said, that's, it's the writing's on the wall for UG3. So I was surprised to see him make the team.
10. Hold on. 11. All right.
Yeah, well, how many are just middle linebackers? That's what I was looking at.
All right, so on the roster, there is listed as LB 10, and then there's
6 of them are middle linebackers.
One of them is linebacker / long snapper.
Is he? But he's not even under there. No, he's under special teams.
Okay, so
no, so they kept 11. They kept 4 outside backers and 6 middle linebackers. What they play 2, and usually only 1. What are they going to do with 6 of them?
All right.
No, isn't that weird? Why cut?
Famously, Pittsburgh has been known to use linebackers for the special teams.
They use them as nickel cornerbacks.
And that too. But you see what I'm saying, though? That's why they keep a lot of linebackers, because they use them as nickel cornerbacks, a lot of them.
Yeah,
because they match up better, I guess, with.
And they use them out of position too much. I
guess
that surprised me. I didn't think there was any chance that Gilbert was going to make the team. I figured once Schobert came and Buddy Johnson looked like he could be a contributor, I don't know. I didn't see a spot for him.
Yeah, and then with Melvin Ingram coming in as well too. I thought for sure that was going to be, but I guess that just goes to show you that what do we know?
I guess the one guy I wanted to stay was Roche, and I hope he makes it through waivers and gets on the practice squad, because I was high on him, and he is probably I think he's close to the only draft pick that got cut. I think 8 rooks made it.
Yeah. There's one guy that I'm a little bit hesitant on, Jameer Jones, and that was the linebacker.
Yeah, you know what though? He just the reports were coming back that he was just crushing it every day. Just beyond his, just one of these guys that seemed to just be, he came in as like sort of a professional. I don't know if he's a 2nd, 3rd year guy, something like that.
1 year guy out of Notre Dame.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, I mean, so he's been, in a big time program at least, and I know he played somewhere last year, I think. So
okay.
I mean, hey, if he, they kept him over Cassius Marsh, which I'm glad about, because I thought Cassius Marsh was terrible.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so, he has not played in the pros yet. I think he was drafted, or he was one of the undrafted players that made the team. You know what I mean? And your guy is continuing on with the experiment there as making the team, Marcus Allen, as a linebacker.
Oh, I figured I thought he was a shoo-in. I think he's a Mike T guy. I think he's just a Mike T guy. I see him as the evolution of Jordan Dangerfield. He's a guy that'll make the team as long as he wants to be here.
Yeah, I think he's better because he's taller. He's got a better frame, he's a hitter. He
can actually play his position a little bit.
How you doing?
I mean, Dangerfield was great, but just not he wasn't a safety. He just was a special teams player who was listed as a safety. I mean, that's what it was. But he was a
good gunner.
He's a great special teams player, but he wasn't a safety. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good gunner, but I mean, hey. All right, so we're okay with that. I'm okay with Marcus Allen. What do you think of Jalen Samuels?
I saw that writing on the wall when I was watching the 3rd and 4th preseason game, and he was taking carries as a 4th-year pro in the 4th quarter. I said, he's toast.
He's toast. Yeah.
I just knew it, and I thought that was one of those situations of Mike T doing him the courtesy by just putting some reps on tape for him.
I got you, because when they brought in Kalen Ballage.
Yeah, he looks like Jalen Samuels with ability.
Okay, so there you go.
No, I don't want to talk down on Jalen Samuels because I was a big supporter of his. I thought he had a lot of potential, but I think what you realized after a while at a position like that, it's not like wide receiver where you can eventually just become a technician and like carve out a niche. You know, you can be Hines Ward, Steve Smith, one of those guys who's just a technician. You know, you don't have to be beating people in races. But running back, eventually, if you're not a special athlete, it's just so hard to be really good.
It is. And for any length of time.
He's just a guy. And he has good receiving ability. You don't mind having him on your team if he's on a rookie deal, but is he better than Benny Snell or Kalen Ballage or Anthony McFarland? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. Okay. I was a little bit. The only thing that kind of threw me on this whole thing, aside from the little intricacies that we've already discussed, was the BJ.
Yeah, this is
BJ
interesting.
Finney being released.
Yeah, this is very interesting to bring him back like that.
And then cut him.
Because he was gone last year, correct? And he came back in like March, right? For agency.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so that is odd, but I don't know. They must have saw enough out of Hassenauer. Maybe Finney was struggling with making the transition to being sort of
the man.
Well, no, it's more that they're asking. I didn't think there was a competition. I thought if Kendrick Green wasn't the starting center out of camp, I thought it would be a surprise and a disappointment, to be honest. I didn't think that was a real competition. I thought his job as a rookie was more secure than anyone besides Najee.
Okay, all right, because that was what I was going to get into next.
Yeah.
Is the surprise of that being a drafted center rookie making it out of camp.
Oh yeah, I think you watch. I've watched. You know, I'm not a connoisseur of offensive line play necessarily. However, when I've watched Kendrick Green play a little bit in the preseason, I see a guy who's showing that ability to get to the second level, which the last time I saw that was Marquise Pouncey when he was young. And you remember seeing him in 2010, 11, and you're like sitting there and you're like, wow, this guy moves for a center, man. And I it's like, you know, Dermani before him.
I was just going to say, okay, see, there you go. Now you said the right word.
Yeah.
That's more of where I'm going to go with my comparison.
Yeah.
Because he has really good feet.
He does.
And he has really good get off after he hikes the ball.
No, I think he looks like he's going to be a good player.
Okay. And so I think what needs to happen for him, right, is because he's a rookie.
Yep.
So it's a different set of defensive calls. It's a different set of offensive line calls from what he was used to in college.
Oh, yeah. Well, that remains to be seen who's going to handle all that stuff.
So this is why I want to point this out, because probably like week 10, it's going to slow down for him.
Yeah.
And it's going to start kicking in.
Well, you know what's scary though is we are playing 17 games this season for the first time, and we're going into a season asking the most we've ever asked for a rookie class, at least in my memory. Like the 15-year, the if you just say like the Roethlisberger era, I think I would have to say, at least in my memory, this is the most that they've ever really been counting on a draft class to be good right away, because they basically need the top 3. Maybe the top 4 picks if Dan Moore has to play. I don't remember if Moore was the 4th or 5th pick. Doesn't matter. They were 10 picks apart. But if he has to play, you're talking about 3 or 4, and then Presley Harvin, 5 players from the draft class that you're expecting to contribute right away, and that's not typical of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
But I think that was what their mindset was going into the draft.
It certainly was. It had to be.
Yeah.
No, it had to be.
Because they had such glaring holes that needed to be, at least we felt there were some glaring.
No, well, and they did. I mean, as I mentioned, obviously in my Kevin Colbert video, but they did I think when you look at it in summary, I really think that they did a masterful job of pulling off this offseason. I don't think anybody could have pegged it going as good as it did. I really don't.
I agree 100%. I couldn't even. There's like, and here's the other thing too that I want to say is this. Boy, what a way to draft players. I mean, he just seems to be able to just put guys on the team that just, I mean.
You talking about Colbert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that he's been able to draft players that have been able to come in I'm going to say in the last 4 years.
Yeah. Oh my God. You go back to, I'm always the biggest fan of the 2017 draft class. How about that draft class? You're talking about TJ, Juju, James Conner, and Cam Sutton. Yeah. I mean, there's not a bum in the bunch.
Right. So that's what I mean. The fact that, so you go back, what did I say? 4 years? All right. So we'll go back 5 years.
Yeah.
Right.
16 was rough because it looked okay at first.
Right.
Artie Burns and Sean Davis were good. Hargrave was really good. The other two didn't stay too good.
So since 2017.
Yep.
Right. So that's still 4 years. That's the last 4 drafts for the Pittsburgh Steelers have been pretty good as far as getting starters.
Oh yeah.
To play.
Are you somebody that in that conversation you would include Minkah Fitzpatrick, or are you a technical person on that conversation, or? Well,
we didn't draft him technically.
Sure, but we still gave up a first-round pick for him. And because it was only a year in between and he was only a second-year player, I kind of think you can count him as a draft pick.
You almost have to, because we gave up a.
I mean, if you gave up a first-round pick for a guy who was like a 7th-year player, I wouldn't say that was a draft pick. But I mean, Minkah came over with. I got what you're saying. Minkah came over with 16 games under his belt. I mean, he was a draft pick. I mean,
for all intents and purposes, he was what 11th overall, and we traded a 13th overall.
I think it was lower than that. I think it was like 16. But yeah, at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he was 11th overall selected.
Yep.
And then we gave up a 13 or a 16th round, or 13 or
16th. Whatever the 8 and 8 year was.
Yeah. Okay.
But did you pull up the draft? Is that what you were doing in the draft class?
No. Yeah. No. I was just asking because because you were asking me if I was a technical person. Yeah, I would consider him a draft.
Yeah.
Because we gave up a number 1 draft pick that was pretty much almost the same tier of player that he was in his draft year. So
no, I think it's a fair assessment. 18 is a more controversial one because 18 you got Terrell Edmonds in the first, which might have been a reach, but I think he's a capable quality starter. So I don't know how you assess that. James Washington, I find to be a tough evaluation. I don't know what James Washington is, man. I know he catches everything near him, but for some reason he doesn't get targets, and I don't know why.
I'm wondering if it's just because he's just. I mean, look, all I can say is that I think maybe it's because he's just not either he does catch everything, but he might not be able to run the routes. I mean,
I don't think he gets the separation that the other guys do.
Okay, thank you.
That's what you were looking for. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I was struggling to think of the word. He doesn't get that good separation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I do.
He's good and fast, and he when he gets the ball in his hands, and he does catch everything.
He does.
I mean,
and straight line speed, he can run.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He's not like. He's not Mr. Elusive. Like, he's not breaking ankles or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly.
He's pretty much catching the ball and running over you,
Yeah, no, that's literally exactly what he's doing. We do have somebody in the chat, by the way, who says that they were surprised Spillane hung on, and I just I don't know. I mean, even once they got Schobert, I still knew Spillane was going to make the team. He's still a good backup middle linebacker. He's just not a guy you want being your number 1.
I think he showed out last year, especially with all the injuries that we had. And I think that's what basically solidified his spot on the roster as that first guy in the rotation.
Yeah. But I
You
think
know what I mean?
they thought, I don't think they really thought that they were going to need a middle linebacker going into camp.
No, especially with Bush coming
I think they
back
really thought Spillane was
and
going to
hot.
be. I really thought they thought Spillane was going to be good enough.
Yeah. And you know what? I haven't seen him play that horrible of a game yet, per se.
If you look at his targets in the preseason, it's been like horrible. I'm not even.
In the preseason.
I know, but like literally when he's been targeted, the quarterbacks are like 8 of 10 for 140 yards and 3 touchdowns or something. He has had actually one of the worst camps I've ever seen, where he went into the thing. I mean, Vince retired. I mean, it looked like he was just the anointed starter. Like, obviously it's going to be Bush and Spillane. And then he just, I mean, from the sound of it, it looked worse. He did not progress the way they anticipated. They had him in Bush, I think, sort of miscast. Yeah. And then Schobert became available, and Colbert said, let's take it. Let's get that guy. And I think that's a smart move. I think if you really ask them, I don't think they would have listed inside linebacker. And I don't think, here's another thing, another part of that. If they didn't think Spillane institutionally was good enough to be a starter, I don't even think Vince Williams would have retired.
There's another name here, too, that we're not mentioning, and that's Miles Killebrew.
Yeah. I mean, I think I see him mostly as a special teamer.
You think more so than Joe or Schobert? You think more so from him?
Yeah, I mean, Schobert's going to be a starting middle linebacker, so Schobert's not going to be out there on special teams or anything like that. I think you're gonna see Killebrew be like, he's sort of he might have been I want to say he might have been a Pro Bowler as like a special teams pick, or at least close to it, because he's known for being like a really good special teams guy. So he's listed, like I said about Dangerfield earlier, he's listed at DB, but I don't think you'll see him play DB.
Okay, because he's actually listed as a linebacker.
I think they have him here as a DB on the 53 on the image they put on Twitter, Steelers. But it's irrelevant, honestly, because he's not going to play either. He's just going to be on special teams.
Now, I just was looking at him, dagnabbit.
I'm just looking at I'm on the official on the roster.
Yeah, the official.
Yeah,
Steelers.
they might have him listed differently on there. You're right. He's listed
as linebacker. 6'2".
I know, but he on the image that they put out on Twitter on Steelers Twitter 53-man roster. It's like a graphic design thing. They have him under the DB category, but that just proves my point, though. It doesn't matter. Yeah. He's only going to be special teams guy. It doesn't.
I'm with you.
He's not like a player.
All right. So, what do you think about? Look, you did a huge video about our boy, right?
Matt Canada?
No, number 18.
Oh, Deontay. Yes, I did. Let's get some more views on that video, by the way, people in the chat. But yes, I did.
And I think he had probably his best camp.
Sounds like it. He was healthy. Yeah, he's put in a ton of work. Yeah.
Could this be the year
that he breaks out? Yeah.
He is. We've already said that he is comparable to a certain other wide receiver that used to play for the Steelers a couple years ago that wore a certain other number. 84.
Are you talking about the best skill player in the 2010s? Because I think you're talking about Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I won't. 84. Hey, man, he broke my heart worse than any athlete ever. I will never take anything away from that player, dude. Oh my God, I really believe this. He was the best player I've watched in my time. I really believe that he just blew me away every single week.
What a shame.
And it became nonchalant. He would make catches where you're like, it'd be close on the sidelines. You're like, did he get his feet down? And you're like, it's AB. Of course he like.
No, it's not AB. It's Tony Toe Tap.
Yeah, it's Ronald Ocean. Yes.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the guy was just. I'll never take anything away from the on-field player. Man, he was unbelievable.
Okay, so having said that,
yeah. But it's a compliment to say that Deontay reminds people of him.
I mean, he's got that same frame.
He's
the same kind of build. He's kind of got that same kind of little bit of cockiness there, a little bit. And now, as long as he's catching the ball, man, good gravy. Anyway.
Oh, he could be. He could be really good. I hope. I hope it's in the cards for him. You know what I mean? I hope he's able to put it all together because I think he's got all the potential. And Ben's going to throw him the ball. Ben kept forcing him the ball last year constantly, even when he was struggling.
He did. So maybe that was to a fault. Maybe
no doubt.
Shouldn't have been doing that because that clearly cost us wins, I think.
I mean, the entire offense was just so out of whack after the Ravens game. It didn't matter.
Yeah,
it's like which thing are you going to pick? Once they got figured out, it was just Fiechner had no ability to adapt. I'm always talking about that counterpunch point, but he had no ability to do that.
He had no ability to do that, period.
No.
Like, at all.
Not even within a game itself.
When I think it was his first year.
That would be 18.
Okay. And we saw Jalen Samuels in the Wildcat.
Well, okay. I'll give him a little fairness on that because when people think of that, they're actually thinking of 19, which was when Rudolph and Duck was playing. So he was just throwing stuff at I never gave him blame for 19 because
no. He did it in 18 as well.
I don't remember. I'll have to check the tape.
there were games towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Where he was doing that.
I mean, I thought generally, if you looked at the statistics in 18, the Steelers actually had the highest red zone scoring percentage in the league that year. And I think it was the highest in the league in quite a while. And so I always was like, okay, maybe Fiechner's okay. And then the 19 year happens with the quarterbacks. And the Steelers really screwed themselves by not having a quarterback coach when they drafted both Dobbs and Mason Rudolph and didn't have a quarterback coach. Hello.
Because that's what Fiechner was.
Sure, but what are you going to wait 5 years to replace him?
Yeah, right.
I mean, and then you go into that season and you got to just kind of, they build the whole offense around Ben. So I gave him slack for that. And even the first half of last year I thought was okay. But then once they got figured out, he couldn't do anything.
There was zero counterpunch. All right. So what did anything surprise you? Aside from the major ones that we've talked about, I guess, has anything really just kind of jumped out and smacked you in the face about this roster?
I think, it's painfully clear to me that I don't think the cornerback who will be getting the third most snaps is on the roster right now. I think they're going to acquire a Mike Hilton. I think they're going to find somebody out there, whether it's, I know some people were talking about a guy from Denver. I know a really nice nickelback just got cut from Washington. I think they're going to sign a guy like that because it was surprising to me that they cut both Brooks and Mollett, and they're both hurt, and they both had a silver platter opportunity to get a job on a really good defense. And I'm bummed for both of them that neither of them could capitalize on it. But I don't think the nickelback is on the roster. And there is the option of sliding Sutton in and putting Pierre on the outside, but that's going to be dependent on how good James Pierre is. I don't know if they're going to do that before the season or if they're going to get torched by Stephon Diggs in week 1 and then do it in, like Minka a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but I think you hit it right there. We're going to have to see how good you just said his name too, and I can't. James Pierre.
Pierre, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how good he is, man, because that's going to really, I think that is really going to determine whether or not the Steelers have to go out and get that other, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, because if he's good, if he does well, that's why I think you might not see him do it before week 1 or week 2, because I think I think Tomlin just didn't want to admit it to himself that the best option was always going to be to slide Sutton into the nickel and put Pierre on the outside. And then Sutton still stays. But then at that point, that with the amount they play nickel now, that basically means Cam Sutton's still a nickel back. And I, for one, I mean, I don't know. I can't read Cam Sutton's mind, but I'm guessing he came back because he wanted to be a starter on the outside. Like, I think he came back because he wants to be Joe Hayden. And I don't blame him. I'm just pointing out before it gets there that it seemed to me like through all the messaging that Tomlin was trying to kind of send the message that they didn't want to put Sutton back in the nickel, but I think it's what's going to happen.
Well, you know, I'm perusing through the list of cornerbacks that have been released, and
there was somebody from Washington that everybody wanted.
Sean Davis was cut from the Colts.
I know he was.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of looking through some of these other ones here, man. And I'll be real honest with you, man. It seems like
there's not
pretty slim pickings.
There's not a ton.
What did you say? There was a player from which team that everybody was Washington?
Yeah, Washington. I think I found the guy. I think his name is Jimmy Moreland. Yep, that's the guy. And he was their starting cornerback. He was their starting nickel back last year. I think he graded out pretty well. Considered to be like a, sort of like a Mike Hilton type player for them. I think I think something like that. Or I heard that guys like Kyle Fuller might be on the move. I mean, Steelers have a little bit of money under the cap. If you could go out and get a real corner, I think I would feel better about the D. I hope Justin Lane is good, but I hope James Pierre is that dude. But I'm just saying, just like Banner, I haven't seen it in a game yet.
Yeah, right. We haven't seen it in anger, so until we do. All right. Well, with it being slim pickings, I mean, Steelers do have a little bit of cap money, so you're thinking maybe they might try to make a play for somebody.
I think, I wouldn't be shocked if they I wouldn't be shocked if they signed somebody, but I also wouldn't be shocked if they made a trade if they felt like there was a good target, because they've been less shy about that in recent years, which I like, because I think you have to be aggressive. And,
finally.
Hey, well, I mean, they're so old school, but I think the finality of the Roethlisberger era is forcing them to realize, shoot, we gotta get this done if we're gonna get it done again. I mean,
Yeah, because
I mean, I don't care. Everybody wants to move on to the next quarterback, whatever.
At the end of the Roethlisberger era, you're going to be looking at a sizable amount of money that's going to be freed up.
Oh, they have a ton of money next year.
Well, okay, so you're going to be looking at a sizable amount of money that's going to be freed up.
And they're going to use it all on Aaron Rodgers. He's out of Green Bay after this year.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, hey, Aaron, you want to come play in another city where you'll be treated like an absolute god and you'll have a defense with TJ Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick?
All right.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. I don't think it's that nuts. Because I think the next guy... Here's the thing. Everybody thinks the next quarterback is going to be a young guy. Everybody wants to argue if it's Haskins, Rudolph. It's neither of them. One of them might start for a bridge year or two, but they're not the guy. The next guy is going to be a free agent, middle of his career guy. I really believe that. I think you're more likely to see the next quarterback be like a Ryan Tannehill, because they're going to be good enough that they're... I don't think that's a bad thing. If you put
Stop it!
I don't think that's a bad thing. If you put Ryan Tannehill or Matt Stafford on this team, that's a Super Bowl caliber team still.
Wait. Matt Stafford, maybe yes, but Tannehill. I mean,
dude, Tannehill. Look at the stats the last 2 years. He's a top.
I know.
He's a top 10,
I
11
know,
quarterback.
I know.
I know it's hard to think about because I always kind of thought of Tannehill that way too, and I always thought he was not that good. But what he's done since he's been on the Titans, dude, 2 years in a row, 22-6 and 33-7. That's pretty good.
Okay. He's also had a massive running game.
Well, he'll have Najee Harris.
To the tune of the
Derrick
fact
Henry,
that he's
yes,
only had he's only had to really throw the ball 17 times a game.
Dude, he threw for 3,800 yards last year.
But you get what I'm trying to say.
No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying if you add I just think I didn't mean Tannehill specifically. I just mean the way in which Tennessee signed like a starter sort of off the scrap heap. I think you're more likely to see them kind of fit somebody in for the next era because if Roethlisberger leaves after this year, this team is still good. I don't think you're seeing Tomlin roll into next season with a rookie quarterback.
Okay.
Because the team is too good. You're going to draft somebody in the first round. I mean, unless you really get Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence, they're not going to take you anywhere in the first year.
So let me see if I get this straight now. And I agree with you. First of all, I agree with you 100% that the next quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, like the next quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers after the Roethlisberger era, is not on the team right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you on that 100% because although I believe that you're going to see Haskins or be a bridge year, I don't think you're going to see Mason Rudolph.
I think
be the starter in Pittsburgh. I just don't think he's going to have it.
I think he might for a year.
In fact, I think, quite honestly, that Haskins is going to probably beat him out this year.
You mean to be the number 2?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I think so, man.
No way. Absolutely no chance. I guarantee it.
All right. If he does... Right?
Well, I mean, the only way we would know that is if both Roethlisberger and, I mean, like then you're already talking about Roethlisberger missing time, and I don't even want to really accept that as a possibility.
All right, I can agree with that.
You know, I mean, if we're talking about, I said that all preseason. If we're talking about any quarterback besides number 7 taking snaps, I'm already heated. So.
Okay, so we don't even want to. Don't poke the angry bear.
No, but I think we were just talking about the next guy, and I think they're going to be in a position if Roethlisberger leaves after this year, which I don't know if he will, but if he does, I think they're going to be in an interesting position where the team they're going to take a step back and be like, wow, this team is like still pretty good. Like you're going to want to just plug somebody in. I don't think they're going to want to just go right to a rookie. They might draft a rookie. But again, unless you're getting a Luck or a Lawrence or I think Justin Fields, I personally feel that way about. Unless you get one of those dudes, you're not getting Roethlisberger again. They're not coming in and winning 15 games and going to the AFC Championship. It's just not going to happen.
All right. So you think that the next quarterback for the Steelers moving forward after Roethlisberger is going to be a Ryan Tannehill type guy that's going to come in that's already been in the league for a couple of years?
I do.
All right.
I do.
And frankly, I believe it's going to probably, in my opinion, okay, and I see why you're saying that because it makes a lot of sense. It really does.
The only thing that could change that is if Tomlin and Colbert both decide to peace out the same time as Roethlisberger. Then they might just go, new.
Okay, well, Tomlin, if I'm not mistaken, is signed for another 2 more years.
I know he is. I know he is. I'm just saying. Okay. If they were to go out, just humor me for a moment. The Steelers go out, win a Super Bowl. Roethlisberger decides he's gonna. Yeah, this year. Yeah, this year they go out, win a Super Bowl. It's beautiful, triumphant moment. Roethlisberger pulls the Bettis, decides he's gonna ride off into the sunset. Colbert decides the same. You don't see a world where Tomlin considers pulling a Cowher and going to make $10 million a year being on TV. I mean, Tomlin could walk into any of those shows he wanted, and he would already be paid higher than anybody. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, I could see it.
I don't know, man.
You just don't think he cares about anything besides football? Like, he just doesn't want to do anything else?
Yeah. He's either going to coach or he's not.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Which is a shame, because I'd love to see Mike T on TV. That
might be, but that might not be a good thing, because he might be a little too.
Yeah, I would love it.
Forthright. You know what I mean? Well, you might get to see the other side of it.
Maybe by then, 5-star matchup will be big enough. I mean, hey, he coined the phrase. It's his namesake.
That's right.
Maybe he'll come.
Wouldn't that be? Hey, wouldn't that be cool?
Oh my God! Right? Just tune in. We're just BSing with Mike T.
Yeah, right. No. We're not BSing with Mike T. We're actually there at the press conference,
right?
And they're getting ready to start asking the line of questions, and the first line of question, and the guy that the list guy that reads off the set says who's available to go next to be the one that asks the questions, and I can just hear it now. All right, 5-star matchup. You're up with Coach Tomlin. And you're like, hey, Coach, how you doing?
Oh man, I couldn't. I've said this on a previous stream, but I could not handle meeting Tomlin. He's such a character in my mind that I would be so intimidated by meeting him. I couldn't handle it. It'd be so funny.
So a couple of weeks ago, I was very blessed to go to the Hall of Fame enshrinement.
You were indeed.
For the Bill Cowher and Troy Polamalu. And then we went for the second day to see Alan Faneca and Peyton Manning, of course, And the really sick thing is that where our seats were, you could look down and see the table where the media was parked, right? Except that, the media for the NFL now is what? All ex-players and ex-coaches, and you know what I mean? So
yeah, that's awesome.
It's like all these NFL Hall of Famers are walking around down there because that's Hall of Fame, and then you got all the media guys are all ex-NFL guys, so it's like, all right.
Yes.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something, bro. Okay?
Tell me.
With all the things that you have planned, I have planned, with combined efforts, dude, I have no doubts that we will be accredited media outlet, that we will be able to go to games and be able to sit down at press conferences and hear the names. All right, Steel Flyers All Sports Network, you're up for the next question.
I mean, I hear you on that, and I think that's definitely a possibility, and I think that's like definitely something that could be in the future, but I like not having to be connected to a press pass because I don't have to be nice all the time. I like the freedom of speech that comes with not being an official outlet. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, but you don't necessarily have to be an official outlet.
True.
That now you have gained access to speak to the actual players.
Well, that's true, but I'm saying Mark Caboli and Ed Bouchette don't write jokes about the players. You know what I mean? It'd be kind of awkward for me walking into the press conferences being, there's 5-star matchup. Okay. He just called me a jabroni last week. You know?
Okay. Okay. I mean, so you might have to change your style.
I like being on the outside looking in. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm good from my position. I appreciate the kind words though, obviously. I did have, we were talking about the 53 man earlier, and I did have one other sort of interesting topic I wanted to bring up. Because I as I've mentioned a few times, I like jerseys. I'm a big jersey collector.
Right.
And I was thinking about something, and I was thinking about coming up with something called the Jersey Confidence Index. And this idea I have is like if you're gonna go down a list of like 4 or 5 players, like who right now is the lock to get like a new jersey that you're gonna have on the Steelers for a period of time, because it's gotten tougher now. I know, like, wide receivers usually don't last beyond one contract. I mean, Ben's almost on his way out. Hayward's getting to that point where he might retire. So, like, if you had to pick somebody who, the guys off the top of your head where you're like, he's going to have a second, third contract on the Steelers.
Okay, so I get what you're saying by being a jersey collector. Okay, mm-hmm. So first let me explain to you my take on jerseys.
Okay.
I love jerseys.
I was just using that as like a hypothetical input to the convo, but you're
yeah,
I'm with you.
I love jerseys, but the only jersey that really matters is the one that has my name on the back.
Nice.
Because I'm never going to get traded.
That's true. That's right? True.
I'm always going to be on the team. You know what I'm saying?
That is very true.
Right? Okay. But some of the jerseys that I've purchased in the past were Villanueva.
Yep. James
Harrison.
Right. Long-term Steelers.
Right. Okay. So
my point is I just don't know who those guys really are on the roster right now, because
you could almost go with Joe, because Joe has been on the team now for a number of years.
That's true, but if he was gone next year, it wouldn't be a shock. He's 32. That's my point. It's got to be at that confluence of like.
Okay, so the next jersey that you have to buy. Okay, all right.
I'm saying somebody that's going to stay active, stay on the Steelers for a few years. Because the reason I brought this up is the person I thought of that I realized is like probably the safest bet of any young player in my mind right now. Funny enough, is Kevin Dotson. Kevin Dotson is going to be a Steeler for a decade.
Oh, you know what?
Kevin Dotson's he's never leaving. He's going to be a Steeler for a decade.
I'm with you. I am so with you. You know who else I think is going to be that same guy?
Who's that?
Is the player that's going to play next to him.
Chukes Okorafor? No, I know you're talking about Kendrick. You're talking about Kendrick, yes. Yes.
Yes, I'm talking about Kendrick Green. I really think, and we also feel that, obviously, TJ is going to be here.
Yeah, I mean, TJ and Minka to me were like givens. I'd be stunned if they didn't both get deals.
Yes.
I mean, stunned.
Yes. But to me, I would say he would be the one that would be, I would like to see that. Either that or Alex Highsmith.
Yeah.
I have a lot of hopes for him. I seen him play really well. He played in the last couple of games of the season. He played well. I didn't really get to see much out of him out of camp this year.
He was. I mean, it's again games, but he was dominant in the preseason. I mean, his get off on the line of scrimmage was unbelievable.
Look, you don't have to sell me on this kid.
Yeah.
Okay, I was big high on this kid to be drafted anyway.
Yeah.
And when they drafted him, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, no,
And then with all the injuries that happened last year, I knew we were going to see him, and I was not disappointed.
No, he's been all that in a bag of chips. And one thing I want to give a shout out to Mike Tomlin and Colbert is that they've made a conscious effort since the Killer Bees era to fill this team and reload this team with high character, good family people.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've noticed that, but it's definitely been a conscious effort. When you look at, Terrell Edmonds, it's a football family. He's got 3 players in the NFL. Their parents are awesome. Cookie Edmonds, shout out. I always got to give a shout out to Cookie Edmonds. My absolute favorite quote last year when they were going to play the Bills, somebody asked Tomlin at a presser, they were like, when you went out to dinner with them pre-draft, what stood out to you about the family? Like, was the dad this or the mom was this or whatever? And Tomlin just looks and he just goes, Cookie Edmonds runs the show. And I was just like, oh my God, I love Cookie Edmonds. I just, everything you need to know about her from that one sentence.
Right.
Minka's another case of comes from a family taught him, work hard, like comes from literally nothing. Devin Bush, another NFL family, TJ Watt, an NFL family. And who was the guy that started me down this? Yeah,
Hayward is another
Cam,
one.
yes, Mm-hmm. He's been on a little bit longer. But the point stands. Like they've made a serious effort to really sort of revitalize. Oh, Highsmith, that was the other guy. His dad. We see him on Twitter and everything. He's a seemingly great family too. So,
by the way, shout out to the Highsmiths because I think they follow me.
Yeah, they're really good about stuff. Charlotte Hayward follows me, Cam Hayward's mom. She follows a lot of people in the scene. She seems like a great lady. Cam, man, I think if I wanted to be positive that I was gonna meet a Steeler and like have a good time and hang out, I think Cam Hayward would be my bet. I couldn't imagine having a bad time hanging out with Cam Hayward.
Yeah.
You don't sound that convinced. Oh my God. I think Cam seems so nice. Like, I just think he seems like the nicest dude.
See, I always just wanted to meet like Villanueva.
Yeah, Big Al. Well, that's like a real, like, yeah, he is a real life sort of, level of.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of guy I would like to meet. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like to meet him, or I would like to meet James Harrison. Like, because that dude is just intense.
Oh, yeah, he is. He absolutely is, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Joe Hayden would be another cool guy.
Oh, Joe is definitely up there on my list.
That would be a guy you could hang out with.
Yeah. Joe, I just think is, like, almost, like, borderline too cool, though. That's why it's, like, I'd be nervous because he's, like, too cool for school, Cam, I just feel like, I don't know. He's just unassuming. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I got you. I see what you mean by that. Here's the other thing, too, and I'm really glad that we did the draft show that we did because boy did we picked a pretty good draft this year, didn't we?
We did, man. It's
Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth.
No, and it looks like Dan Moore might be a contributor. Presley Harvin's definitely going to be a contributor.
Green is going to be a starter.
Yeah. So, I went over this with my guy Big Steeler Mood the other day, but I want to just bring it up again real quick because it came to fruition. We talked about this before it happened, but they did decide to change the whole special teams unit besides the Boz, and I'm just pointing out it's new, it's changing, and I'm conscious of that because that is ultimately, no matter how good or what the potential of your punter is, whatever, I love Presley Harvin. I think it's awesome that we finally have a good punter. Same thing with the long snapper. I hope he's great. But I'm just saying, like, you're changing a lot of elements of that field goal team. And ultimately, to me, what Boswell does is way more important than what either of the other ones does anyway. So I just hope he's comfortable and happy. That's all.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, we have definitely, I know it's not something that you talk a lot about because it's always that afterthought, like, oh, they're going for the extra point.
Yeah.
Well, the extra point now is 33-yard field goal now.
Yeah. No, when they moved that back, that's one of my favorite rule changes in football, actually. It's one of the only times they changed the rule, and I liked it. I like that that's harder now.
I agree 100%. But that makes the kicker that much more valuable now. And the same thing with the kickoffs because they moved the kickoff back 5 yards. And if you're still able to leg it out there and kick it to where the guys don't have a return, hey, all right. Good job, buddy.
No, yeah.
Starting at the 20.
Yeah. No,
I mean what I mean.
Yeah, no, hey, I just wanted to point it out. It's just something I hope it works out because as exciting as every other element of it is, getting a new punter and he's awesome and a big guy and everybody loves it.
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out he better be a good holder is all because the Boz has to drill those kicks.
That's right. And he's going to be needed to drill those kicks, especially in the cold weather and the open end of the stadium.
He's such a stone cold killer, man.
Dude, what
I got
he's been.
so much respect for the Boz, man. He's got ice water in his veins. He had the 1 year where he was kind of hurt and missed a bunch of kicks in 18. Yeah. But man, besides that, he's been absolutely money his whole career, and I think he's in the top 5 or 6 all time in percentage, which is pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing. He actually pulled a groin out of camp that year.
Mm-hmm.
And they went back and forth with a couple of different punters and kickers.
They should have put him on IR halfway through that season. There was at least 2 games they lost directly because he missed kicks he would have made.
I agree 100% because he was out there and he should not
sometimes
have been.
That's a thing with Tomlin though, is sometimes he's loyal to a fault. He's done it with Roethlisberger over the years. How many times? Remember Ben playing against San Francisco in like 2011 or 12 and he couldn't even walk and he got clobbered.
Plate in his shoe.
And he got absolutely clobbered repeatedly by Patrick Willis. God. And it's like, come on, just play Charlie, all right? Doing? Just play Charlie. It's fine.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, man. Somebody in the chat says, can Presley Harvin play left tackle? I think that is a good question.
Well, here's the cool thing, though. At least he might be able to potentially have a guy that's running the ball back. He might be able to just kind of step into him a little bit, and they might bounce off of him.
Oh, yeah, he could definitely. You know what I mean? You would imagine he could lay a hit. I mean,
he probably can tackle at least.
Barry, though, to his credit, Barry was never afraid to like mix it up. He was a real athlete. I mean, I got no like. Barry seemed like a cool guy. I got no ill will. He's so inconsistent.
Agreed. One of the things, though, that because we are talking about the 53-man roster, I'm really excited about Pat Freiermuth.
I know.
I got to watch him play in college, and I got to watch him progress through, being that really, really, really young, fresh green kid to being, his senior or whatever, his final season at Penn State. And he was the man. Like, there just wasn't even any question. You knew it was going to him, and there was nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
Right? See, that to me is why I was so high on him coming out of the draft. Because I felt that he was the best receiving tight end that could do all the things you need a tight end to do, especially in the jumbo sets.
Yeah.
Because he was really good at blocking off the edge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have no doubt whatsoever that Freiermuth is going to be a great draft pick for them. I mean, you could see it in the way Ben talked about him after that preseason game where he threw 2 touchdowns, and he, if Ben's got like a cheeky response queued up for something, he's been thinking about it. He's not exactly like an improv comedian. So if he said that little cheeky line he said about Heath Miller, he was thinking about that.
I was just gonna say that.
He was thinking about that all week. Okay, come on. I know your tricks, Ben. I've been watching you for 20 years. All right, I know he didn't come up with that on the spot.
No,
he's not some cunning linguist. Somebody in the chat called him Baby Travis Kelce, and I think that's a nice moniker.
He's got the height. He's got some body thickness. Now, I think because he's still young, he could probably put on 10 pounds and it would do him some good. Okay. Put on some 10 pounds like up top.
Yeah, definitely get a little broader.
Get a little
more barrel chest, yeah.
Right, yeah. And if he did that, then I think he would be the full package. He would be your red zone threat because nobody would match up with him. Because he's so big and he catches. That's the thing. He catches balls.
Yeah, he catches everything.
I mean, I've never seen a guy that just. I mean, the catches that he made in college.
Yeah.
I was.
I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see him work. I'm just curious to see. I think early on, I wouldn't be shocked if they keep his load kind of light, just because I think they're gonna lean on the vet with Ebron and try to. I think where they can, except for Najee, because Najee is going to be, I think, full gas from day one. But I think where they can, they'll try to ease in guys like freiermuth, because Ebron, for what he is, I know he gets some hate in the community, but he's a starting caliber tight end in the NFL. I mean, he deserves snaps too.
I'm all good with the Ebrontosaurus. I'm happy with his play. I thought he was a good pickup from the Colts last year. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to see Freiermuth and Gentry split time.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing nobody even talked about is the first 2 or 3 weeks of camp, everybody's talking about how great Zach Gentry looked. We might have 3 good tight ends.
I wouldn't be too horrible with that. I mean, no. Gentry is 6'8".
No, and some of the stuff Canada does with motion, my guy Gage was, we've been talking about all this month, and some of the stuff he does with motion, like there's times where he motions offensive linemen. He'll have extra tight ends. I mean, I think it's tough to evaluate their offensive line as it stands because they drafted guys to fit a scheme. And we don't know what the scheme is yet. We haven't seen it. Anybody that's judging it based off of traditional whatever, they don't know what they're talking about because we don't know. No one knows. It's under wraps still.
Everything is all vanilla right now, especially in preseason and all that other stuff.
Do you think
they're not game planning for anybody or nothing like that yet?
Do you think come end of the season, I don't know what the win-loss record is. I don't know. We get to the playoffs. All that to the side. Do you think end of the year everybody's still feeling really positive about the Matt Canada experience, or do you think it's likely that we feel strongly positive about Matt Canada at the end of the season?
I think I'm going to go with what my original prediction was. I think out of the first 5 games out of the gate, it's going to be this huge excitement because it's going to be something that nobody has seen.
Yep.
Okay? And after the first 5 or 6 games, people are going to start to be catching on because now there's going to be some tape out there.
True.
Right? So then you're going to get a stretch there where it's going to be tough because teams are going to be like, oh, yeah, we saw that in tape.
Yeah.
So now the third half of the season, the last half of the season, December half of the season, is when they need to be kicking it and going, yeah, this is our counterpunch. This is what, okay, so you figured us out? Well, really, no, you haven't.
Well, that's the one thing that I'm interested to see. I talked to you about that the last couple of weeks, and I think from what my people in the know tell me is that he's just hyper aware of tendency. Like that's his thing, is that Canada is just hyper aware of tendencies, and especially as they relate to himself. And so let's see it.
If they relate to himself, then that means that he's hyper aware of the tendencies of his players on his own team.
He's just apparently a super analytical.
I hope that's the case.
Yeah.
Because if it is, then you better be putting the guy. Look, we all felt that one of the biggest problems with Fiechner was that he did not put the players in position to be successful.
No, he didn't.
In certain situations, certain players were in that should not have been in for those particular situations.
Right.
Okay. So if you just improve on that and you make it so that this offense can effectively run the ball in a middle of the road level, top 15, and allow Ben to be Ben, then I don't have a problem seeing this team putting up 12 wins.
No, I think that's the only thing that scares me is just that, all that could go right and they could still win just 10 or 11 because the schedule really is quite brutal, to be honest. I mean, everything could go right and they could lose 6 or 7 games, to be honest. It is a tough schedule.
It is a tough schedule, and I'm effectively saying that I'm already expecting the team to lose 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be enough there. I think
we got somebody in the chat with a very strong 13-4 prediction.
That's not bad.
I'm saying 11-6.
I said 12 and what is it? 12 and 5.
12 and 5 now it would be.
Yeah. All right. So that's me. I'm 12 and 5. So look, we're all within. It's all within 3 games.
Yeah.
Right?
I think you could see them win 11, 12, 13. You could also see that. I think. I mean, they could win anything between, I would say, 1 and 17 games.
Well, yeah. Thank you, the great prognosticator.
That's the kind of coverage you get on 5-star matchup.
What's the odds? He can win 1 or he can win up to 17. Up to 17. Okay.
Speaking
if
of,
they win 11, is that going to be enough to make the playoffs?
Yeah, 11-6 makes the playoffs.
You think so?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you
got 3 wild cards now, right?
Oh, is that what it is? 3 wild cards now?
Isn't that what it was last year? Didn't they change the format?
Yeah, I think they did. Because you know that at least another team from our division is going to be banging on the door. At least another team from our division.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. I think you're definitely looking. Yeah, 7 teams from each conference made it last year. They added a new team. Because there was only 1 bye week, remember?
Yep.
And the Steelers didn't get it. They were 11-0. They didn't get a bye week. Am I bitter? I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter.
We're not bitter. No,
I'm not bitter at all.
We're not counting either. No.
But they. I think. I mean, so you got 3 wild cards, and I mean, I think that Cleveland's a playoff team. I'm not going to say they're not. I think Baltimore probably is a playoff team, but I think that Dobbins loss is big. I think people are sleeping on how big of a loss that is.
Yeah, for the Ravens.
Because you're talking about when Lamar just first came in, it was like you had Ingram there to take a lot of the carries, and then you had Dobbins, and I think there was I don't know. They've had like this cavalcade of running backs. They got Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins last year as a rookie, and now suddenly it's like who's there now with what? Lamar, and they hand the ball off so much that I think that's going to be a huge loss for them, and I just kind of have this feeling I can't shake that Lamar just has a down year this year, and that's not even a knock on him. I think teams are going to start to figure it out. He'll still make great plays. I could see them doing like a 9-8 kind of year.
Okay, I'm with you. It's not necessarily. See, I agree with you 100%. I think it's the fact that it's like the same thing when RG3 came in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's better at what he does than RG3 though.
I agree, but it didn't take long for the league.
Yeah.
To figure him out, right? So the problem is that you might be able to figure him out, but you just can't stop him.
Well, that's the thing with Jackson is he's just so good at it, and I'm always going off about it, but I just think he's such a freaking dynamic runner, man, and I just. You can figure him out all you want. He still might make you look silly and break your whole defense's ankles.
He's very reminiscent of another quarterback that was somebody that I felt was one of the most. I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback quite like a certain player named Mike.
Where are you going with this?
Vic.
Mike Vick. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I think Vic was a better passer, but I think I really believe Lamar is actually a more dynamic runner.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I think Lamar is a much better runner than he is a passer.
Oh, I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, but I still think you put him in that same kind of. I think you have to put him in that same kind of boat because, man, that when you get him out into space. Yeah, he's breaking ankles.
Well, no, and you just have to react to everything he does. That's the problem. It's like, you saw that last year. Remember, he came in. I think they were playing Cleveland on either a Monday or Thursday night. I remember because everybody was watching it and tweeting it, and the Browns were winning. And Lamar Jackson went in. Remember, he went to like the locker room, and people were joking that he had to go use the bathroom.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And he came out, and he did like they got the ball in like the 50 or something. down by maybe 4 or 5, and he just like he took the ball, scrambled a little bit, made a little pump fake, and just found a dude wide open because the whole defense was like, "Oh my God, it's Lamar Jackson," and they reacted to him. And
yeah,
so when you have that special of an X factor, I can't knock you, man.
I'm with you. All right,
he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn though, so.
Oh yeah, well. Thanks for
Ben Roethlisberger is still the best quarterback in the AFC North, and I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that.
He's 37 years old. He's 37 years old last year, and he won the division coming off of elbow surgery.
As a true quarterback, I mean, because let's face it, Ben is not running around there. You know what I mean?
No.
Okay, and we've seen Mayfield run around, and we've seen, who's the new kid there now in Cincinnati?
Burrow.
We're going to see him run around a little bit too.
Yeah, I think they might be a little more protective of him this year just because they kind of got...
Well, yeah, they got clipped last year because he got hurt.
Yep.
You know, so, that's what happens when you have a running quarterback. Hey, go figure.
Well, and when you don't have an offensive line.
Well, that's the other part of it too. That, I think, is going to be the major storylines going into this season for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is the offensive line going to be able to generate enough to have a good enough running game and be able to protect Ben Roethlisberger.
That's the $1 million question.
And then the next biggest story is, to me, I think, can the defense stop the bleeding? Can they shut down a team? Can we get to a fourth quarter and be winning by, say, 2 scores and be able to kick back and go, all right, we got this one?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean? Yeah, that's the thing, is that their defense, this last run of these last 2 years where the defense has suddenly become like really good again, they just have struggled to finish. And that's been a weakness of the Steelers for now going on about 5 years now. I don't know what their record is exactly, but I know that in 2018 they were 6-2-1 and they didn't make the playoffs. I know that in 2019 they were 8-5 and they didn't make the playoffs. Backup quarterback, whatever you want to say, they were 8-5. They didn't make the playoffs. Last year they were 11-0. They didn't win a playoff game. At 17, you go back even a year further and they had the Shazier injury, which is tragic and changed the whole thing. But still, they didn't win a playoff game. So are we gonna get back on that course of just like at least winning a playoff game? I mean, it's been 5 years. This is Pittsburgh, This is the Pittsburgh Steelers we're talking about.
My last question for you is this. I know it was, and I know we talked about it and everything else like that, because we said, oh, well, what if it was McWorld and the team wins the Super Bowl this year, and Ben and Tomlin and Colbert all ride off into the sunset and everything's all happy glory. So what if the exact opposite happens this year and we don't make the playoffs? And look, I don't even care how many wins we have. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Okay, seriously. If we have 10 wins, 12 wins, 13 wins, it doesn't matter. All that matters is that, are we going to the playoffs?
Yeah.
Because everything else is moot.
Yeah, I agree.
Nothing else matters during the regular season as far as I'm concerned. Yes, it's great that the team comes together. Yes, it's great that the team gets hot. Yes, I love watching football. Yeah. I am all about watching football. But look, let's cut to the bloody chase, okay? If the Steelers don't make the playoffs this year, or if they do make the playoffs and don't
Yeah, they gotta win at least. For me, this year, if they don't win at least a playoff game, it's disappointing.
Disappointing?
Yes.
I would say worthy of potentially relieving.
It's tough because there's too many variables. You don't know. We don't know yet what Ben's gonna be like by December, January. I can't say that. I can't say preemptively that would be Tomlin's fault.
No, I'm just throwing that out there because if they collapse again in December, like they did the last 5 years,
I think it's a worthy conversation.
Honestly, man, I would be so.
I'll tell you this much.
Tell you how jacked off I would be. Okay.
I think I would say this. My on the Roethlisberger situation specifically, I actually believe that Roethlisberger would be more likely to retire after this year if they don't make the playoffs than if he wins the Super Bowl. I actually think just because of the way the numbers work out and Terry, I think if Ben won a third Super Bowl, it would be really, 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 really hard for him to not try at least one more time.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you.
Don't you think? Don't you think? I don't think he could pass up at least trying.
Because it's depending on how he is physically.
Yeah, if he's still up to it. I don't think he's a guy who's going to play if he's like, Peyton Manning's last year or something. I don't think he would
hobbling around on one
I don't think he would do that, but I do think if he got a third, I think he would have trouble saying no to taking at least one stab at a fourth.
Okay, because it would be a heck of a lot.
Cuz he'll take a step back and he'll say, "What the hell? I'm not under contract. I'll take $7 million, re-sign TJ, re-sign Minka, get me, whatever the best wide receiver that's available. Bring Juju back. We're going, whoosh, and he's just
strapping it.
I just can't you see it? The old cowboy, just one more ride. I think he'd be more likely to just go out like off
but
of.
But that's only if they win it this year.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a big if.
That
is a
big if. That is a big if. I know there's a lot of variables. I still don't think I think I'd put it almost even odds that Ben plays that this is his second to last year. Like same odds that this would be either his last or second to last. I think it's a true 50-50. He looks healthy, man.
Right now, I would have to agree with you.
He looks healthy. I think they're going to get the ball out of his hands. He's going to hand it off to Najee a million times. And just like I was saying about if they brought in a free agent, he's going to take a step back and say, oh, man, that defense does so much of the heavy lifting. I got Najee. I got freiermuth. I got, if I could get them to bring Juju back again, I got my guys.
All I have to do is do is Tom Brady.
Claypool coming into his prime. The ball.
Hey, man, I'm really excited about Claypool for this year. Really
I hope he takes that step forward physically.
I think so. I'm also excited to see what's going to happen with McFarland.
He's going to have some carries.
He's
a design part of the offense now.
Exactly. And I've also heard that Derek Watt is also going to be a design part of the offense as well, too.
This is true.
And I'm going to be interested. I am really excited about what I'm gonna see here for this Matt Canada offense. I'm excited.
It's it's there's a lot of possibilities, and the way they distribute the ball, and I think you're gonna see some wide receivers get handoffs here and there, and the thought of seeing like a Claypool or a Juju coming around the end carrying the ball to me is very exciting.
Yeah, I got no problems with that. Look, when I played ball, we always, every game, without fail, had a wide receiver or end around is what it was called.
Yeah.
Okay? I kid you not, man.
You got to, yeah.
You have everybody, you're offset on the line, and you shift, right? That's your motion guy, comes over and shifts and lines up over on the other side, hike the ball, wide receiver comes around, the whole line shifts and goes around, bang, there you go.
Yep.
I mean, I can't tell you. I got no problems with seeing them guys because those guys are the ones that are supposed to be carrying the ball in those kinds of open field areas like that. That's what they are
that's what they do. That's their
No,
job.
it's
They're wide receivers.
absolutely. And I just wanted to respond to something real quick. We did get somebody in the chat that was just commenting on our last point. Just saying 3 playoff wins in the last decade with none since 2016. That is regression, and that is fair. I get that, and I think the Steelers' playoff success has been underwhelming in the last half a decade for sure. But I do always just point to people to take a step back, look at playoff records of guys like Rodgers and Breeze. Rodgers since 2016 has won 4 playoff games, and he's supposed to be considered by most of the people in the world to be, as good as anybody. You and me were talking about the Wilson debate last week. And, Russell Wilson is somebody who I think, if I'm not mistaken, has won 3 playoff games in that period of time as well. So, I'm not making an excuse for the Steelers. They've been underwhelming in the last half decade. I'm just saying, look at some of the best players and teams in the league, and it's not that different.
It really isn't. I mean, even when Peyton Manning was at his height.
Yeah,
The
he was like
Colts would
below
be
500 in his playoff career
That's what I mean.
until he won like the second Super Bowl. He was like 8-9 in the playoffs.
The Colts were great during the regular season. You get to the playoffs and what happened to Peyton Manning? Oh, he lost again.
No, he had a rap. People, especially because this is good to bring up real quick too, is especially since a lot of my audience is younger and just thinks of Peyton Manning as hallowed ground. But you and I think, would both remember and acknowledge that there was a period of time where Peyton Manning was looked at as just like a regular season stats guy, right? I mean, really, until they broke through, you were like, oh, he's not like Brady wins, but Manning just puts up stats.
See, that was what the whole thing was, is that Brady wins and because
it took him a long time to shake that. He was, yeah.
They played each other 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And it was finally in I believe it was the final time they played, or the next to last.
Yeah, that they got over the hump, and finally the year after the Steelers.
Yeah, that was the year but that was the year that Peyton Manning went to the Super Bowl. And he was able to beat the Patriots and Tom Brady. Hey, what do you know? Go figure.
Yeah.
What? Hey, when you beat the top, that's what happens. Look, I really think that if Ben wants to keep playing, hey man, keep playing. If the Steelers can continue to put a team around him that can keep his uniform clean,
I'm with you.
Then by all means,
he's earned it. He can do whatever he wants from my perspective. I whatever. If he wants to keep playing, he can keep playing. He's given enough.
Exactly. And I don't have a problem with, even if they don't make the playoffs this coming season, and he wants to ride off into the sunset, thanks, Ben. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to do what's right for him, man. He's got to know. I think players just know, man. You just know when the moment is.
That's right.
You can't make that decision for him.
The game makes that decision for you.
Exactly. And I will say, as far as knowing when that time comes, I think it's starting to be about that time that we wrap up this edition of 5-Star Radio.
I have to agree.
So it's been a lively chat today, by the way. A lot of people have been dropping in. We've had a good amount of people watching concurrently, a lot of click-throughs. It's good performance. So I thank y'all for hanging out. Steel Flyers, anything you want to hype up?
I would just like to say that be looking for Steel Flyers All Sports Network to be coming out with some new stuff. We got a new logo. We got some new backgrounds. Nice. And we're putting together some stuff. Yeah, man. And so just be looking out for that. And also some swag.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh, yeah. Been just like you, been making deals and making calls and trying to get
building
some
up
stuff
the
rolling.
War chest. Yeah,
that's right, my friend. So be looking for that this coming season. Check us out on the web, www.steelflyers.com, or you can find me on Twitter at steelflyers52. Thanks, my man, for having me on. This is always awesome. Anytime you want to sit down and talk Steelers, all you got to do is ring me up and I'm here.
Anytime, my friend. And y'all guys already know me. The link is on the screen. It's patreon.com/5SMU. I hate saying it, but we don't make ad revenue money because of YouTube. We use copyrighted footage. So if you could drop $4 to $7 in that Patreon link, that would be absolutely dope. It really helps the show do a lot of things. I'm, as you guys see, expanding. I'm hiring people. I have an editor I work with now. I have a project manager I work with, and I just, it would really be a huge help for the show as we roll into the season. So, but other than that, just keep watching, and I'm excited to really get into doing the actual show here soon. I think we've added a lot of new people in the last month, and I don't even know if they have the full experience of like watching my show the day after the game. And it's like gonna be like Christmas. I just hope the Steelers are good.
See, you just tease us, right? Every once in a while, we get these little videos.
But
it's just like little teaser videos.
It's not the full vibe,
right?
Though. It's
That's
taste.
What I mean. Teaser videos.
I come from a pro wrestling background, man. Hulk Hogan didn't wrestle every week. Hulk Hogan wrestles on the pay-per-views. Okay. That's
right.
You see what I'm saying? So, www.patreon.com/5SMU. But seriously, it's all love. I thank you all guys so much every time you hang out. It really does mean a lot. I don't even care if it's 10, 15, 20, 30 people we get in watching these things.
Doesn't matter.
I love that there are people willing to listen to me talk about the Steelers, and I can't thank you enough. So appreciate it. Steel Flyers, stay on. I'll say goodbye to you in real life after this, and I'll end the stream.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Have a nice night, and I'll see you very soon. Hopefully, Mr. Trent Jordan gets paid. Don't tell anybody. It's top secret, but there's only a few people in here. I have something really dope waiting to go live the second he signs. And when that goes live, please do share it for me because I think it could do really good. And I hope that's tomorrow. I hope. I don't know. What do you think, Steele? You think that's going to be tomorrow after the 53-man roster? You think they finally announced?
Yeah, I mean, what are they waiting for?
I was thinking for the roster, but they didn't do it tonight. I think maybe tomorrow, right?
Maybe.
I'm hoping. All right. Well, either way, I'll see y'all guys later, and you'll see that video drop.